This is Mitchell.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Nate Boyer.
This is Hilliard Guest.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Rob Bell.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Dan Stone.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, everybody. This is Dexter from the Offspring, and you're listening to The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
Yeah, man, we are
Excellent.
Here. Mark Valley's co-hosting once again. Thank you so much for doing that.
My pleasure.
Man, you've had a big week.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
how do you mean?
Well, in the last week, you were awarded your PhD officially.
That's true. Yes.
Is this your first media appearance since that happened?
Almost.
Oh, damn it!
I did. I talked to a guy from a radio station in Iowa.
Right.
But besides that,
yeah. Well,
that's just the Midwest.
Hey, second's good. That's just.
How long do you wear your robes though after you get your PhD?
You kind of want to wear it all day, right? You want to make the most of it.
You want to just keep them on and keep the hat.
Yeah, I woke up the next morning, had it had my breakfast in them, like my pajamas.
You could be naked underneath the robes, though, I guess.
Oh, this? Oh, yeah, I guess I graduated. That's right.
I got a PhD.
Yeah, it's a big deal. In case you didn't know.
I go into Starbucks, like, name, please? Dr. Dexter.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, it was a lot of work, and I'm very proud of it and stuff, and it's very flattering when people say what a big deal they think it is. I think it's very cool. You're
also the second doctor from the bandmates, right? You had an early member go off and become a physician, too?
Well, that's sort of true. Yes. Our very first drummer was James Lilia. He always wanted to go to medical school, and he was sort of more into that idea than the idea of the band. So he actually split off pretty early, I think.
Yeah.
I think he left, when we were kind of just starting.
Right, just getting out. He's in the family of sorts, and now you guys both doctors. You're not the kind of doctor that necessarily helps anybody like with patients and stuff.
That's right. Not that kind of doctor is what I have to say I am, right? No, I'm not that kind of doctor.
That's one of the few success stories of the first drummer. Usually they go on to. There's a reason they had to let them go.
Oh, right.
But he sort of became a doctor.
Yeah. No, he's doing great. We keep in touch regularly, and actually, I haven't talked to him since I graduated. I got to tell him about that.
We've had actually a number of PhDs on the show. We've had Dr. Bob, who's got a PhD in music and is fantastic. Dr. Rich, who is our what the fuck is going on doctor, kind of guy. We have a terrorist expert. So you're in good company. A lot of smart folks.
All right.
Your work. Let's really talk about that just really briefly, unless you want to get into it more. But I was reading you the abstract, which, wow, I mean, the work that you're doing, and help me out. Let me see if I can explain what you do. This is me trying to do this. So you're identifying some correlated microRNA strains that bond, and the RNA, the microRNA, that we're figuring out that they're the pathway for pathogens.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've identified two different specific ones, is what I understood. The microRNA, was it 46, 44, and 67, 64?
Wow, good for you. Good for you. Well, sort of. Everything's sort of so far. But good.
As long as I'm in the ballpark. This stuff. Yeah. So you're providing a puzzle piece for someone to come along later and say, these are some things identified, in this case with HIV, but maybe other autoimmune type things. And that's going to help them potentially put the other pieces together that maybe aren't figured out yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the right track, I guess, right? I'll say
guess.
that. This is kind of I haven't really talked about this in an interview, so I haven't figured out how to put together the right, concise paragraph to explain it really simply in layman's terms, because it is just it's not that it's rocket science necessarily, nuclear physics, but it is. It just gets complicated because it's very detailed.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm looking through bioinformatics at different HIV strains for things that might be different. I found certain strains that contain microRNA sequences which are not viral in origin. They're what I would call cellular in origin. So it almost seems as if perhaps it kind of hijacked the sequence and put it into its own genes, which you have to wonder why.
Right.
Presumably it would be to benefit the virus in some way.
How does it benefit the virus, though?
Exactly. You'd have to. Well, that's what page 164 through 186 is about. And that's what viruses do. It's an arms race between the body and the virus. They're always trying to figure out how to outmaneuver each other. And this is something that it might be something, and for all we know, it might not. Science is kind of like that, where I'm digging and trying to find something, and then I found it computationally, and then you'd have to go into the lab and see whether it actually does something.
But it's kind of scary. The ultimate virus would probably try to get your whole DNA and find your whole battle plan, right? And then the ultimate virus would know your whole battle plan starting out.
Well, it always knows part of your battle plan. That's for sure.
When you look at something like this, is this something that you continue to pursue? Are you going to write peer review articles afterwards? Do you have a tenure track dream or anything?
My immediate plan is to stay with the advisor I worked with. Her name's Dr. Rashid, and she was really fantastic. And my thesis is composed of chapters, and each chapter is potentially a publishable paper. So we could spend the next year or two refining the work in the thesis and put them out separately as papers. And that's what I hope to do over the next couple of years.
Do you find that people respect your work as a peer who does PhD level work, or do you have to kind of get over a barrier like, oh, that's a punk rock guy?
With peers? Is that what you're saying?
With your academic peers.
Oh, I haven't talked to him too much about it, actually. Mm-hmm. I think overall everyone's been very supportive.
Yeah.
I realize now more as a PhD that my work is actually not as far along as guys that are full professors or postdocs or whatever. And so I respect what they do even more. And my work would be, in a way, maybe even considered preliminary, kind of. So, and that's why I always stress, and I put it in my post, this is not me going out trying to cure AIDS. That's way too big for what this is. The idea is just to kind of try to contribute to the knowledge, and that's what they call basic science, right? It's not always about getting a cure, because if you don't know what the basic underlying things are underneath the biology, then you can't go on and figure out how to fight it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about building blocks and iterating towards a final answer or cure.
Building blocks, right? Exactly right.
Yeah, I volunteered for the Clinton Foundation one year in the Dominican Republic to work in the HIV clinics that they had. They'd already kind of made this system of antiretroviral drugs that were kind of coming in. There was like level 1, level 2, and level 3. I was just wondering if you're kind of familiar with that in your work, and does that play any role, like those antiretroviral drugs?
For sure. I mean, when you say antiretroviral drugs, there's lots of ways to attack the virus, right? And this could be one of them. If we find that a microRNA is essential for viral reproduction, you can potentially make a drug that targets the microRNA, antimer they call them, or whatever. So, and that is being done actually in certain cases, in certain diseases. So it's kind of a new thing as far as targeting it therapeutically, but it's involved in so many processes that it seems promising.
Mm-hmm. Do you think in our lifetimes we'll have a handle on autoimmune type things where we have a better grasp over at least controlling it or retarding its progress?
Well, sure. I mean, that's really tricky because autoimmune is kind of your body accidentally fighting itself when it's not supposed to, right? And that has a lot to do with immunological development and stuff like that. And that's not necessarily viral,
right?
Which is kind of what I did. So I'm certainly not the expert on that.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing what's happening now. And I do consider it to be kind of a golden age. I know it sounds like a cliche in molecular biology.
You have to say that in the right kind of voice. It was a golden age.
Golden age, yeah, that's right.
What the heck am I doing voices for? That's your job. You should be doing the it's a golden age kind of.
I should start doing sound effects and stuff like that.
That's right.
That's funny.
And you still have your voice, though? You still have your voice?
Have my voice?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, from singing Self-Esteem. Every time I've tried to sing that, I couldn't talk for 2 days.
It's pretty high.
It is.
It is definitely pretty high. I definitely have a sore throat after a concert.
I know.
But somehow it's.
I had a question about this song though, because I always wondered if there was just a kind of. I never really had a girl like that, and I was wondering if when you wrote that song, if you were twisting it around, it was one of the very first like '90s tunes that really empowered women. I felt, besides Courtney Love, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think people automatically assume if you write a song and you're saying I in the song that it's autobiographical, and it wasn't necessarily, but it was something that I certainly could relate to.
Right.
And even some of the things were kind of a collection of stories I had heard, like the part of late at night she knocks on my door, it's she's ready to score and stuff. That actually did happen with a girl I know with her boyfriend. So her boyfriend showed up drunk at 2 a.m. saying, "Hey, baby," and she
Right.
was like, so that part is actually kind of a true story, but that was just one line in the song, and it was some of the other stuff was sort of made up, but it was something that I think we can all relate to.
Yeah, but the girl from that song has haunted me ever since. Like, when is she going to knock on my door?
Late at night.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't do much of a really big intro, but we're talking to PhD, frontman for Offspring, also a hot sauce purveyor. And so we're talking to Dexter Holland of the Offspring. Thanks to Pete Horne of Sunwest Sales for hooking us up and getting us together and letting us get a chance to chat with you. We really appreciate all those things. The Offspring story, gosh, you guys are just incredible. 40 plus million records sold worldwide. You guys, when you started a band, let me back up and ask you this, and maybe you don't remember because I'm not sure that I remember correctly too, but I believe I saw you guys live in like not quite a garage style setting, but like definitely a party Chico setting with like the Mother Hips and a couple other bands like that. Do I remember that correctly? Were you guys up in Chico doing, I mean, we're talking like late mid 80s, like 87, 88 time frame?
Chico, huh?
Chico,
You don't mean Chino, right?
No, I mean
Chico?
Chino. No.
I don't remember Chico way back then, but I don't know. I mean, we played wherever and whenever we could.
Yeah.
So we definitely did a lot of backyard parties back in the day.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun most of the time.
Offspring, 40 million plus albums sold worldwide. When you guys start out, does it ever even occur to you that you're going to have a big following in Portugal? Or, all these other places that love you guys?
No, not at all. The international thing especially was really mind-boggling for us. And really, I remember the first time we had put out Ignitions. This was before Smash and all that stuff happened, but we got a chance to open up for NoFX on tour in Europe, and that was our first time to Europe. And it was great for us because they were already doing well, so we were playing to small clubs, but they were packed. And our very first show was in Italy, and our very first song, we started singing one of the songs off Ignition Session, and they started yelling all the words, and it was just like right from the get-go, like, wow, these kids, they know all the words. And even if they don't speak English, they mouth it and they make the sounds. I don't know, it's crazy, but it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I'll say it's incredible when you go to a country. You're like, it has to be that when you guys are booking your tour, and you're like, wait, really, we're big in Latvia? I don't even know where, like, not that you wouldn't know where Latvia is, but most people wouldn't even know where Latvia is. Or if you showed them the Baltics, they wouldn't be able to say, that's for sure Estonia, that's Latvia, and that's Lithuania. Like, people just don't know that.
Well, those three are confusing, right?
Yeah,
They're tricky, yeah.
But that's got to be. So what place really shocked you when you got there with like the passion of the fans? I mean, they're all great. All the fans love you guys, obviously. But when you get there, you're just like, man, I just can't wait to get to this country because they really blow our socks off with how much they love us.
Yeah, you kind of never know. I mean, we've had everyone always says they love Australia because there's a bunch of things that make Australia nice. It's the weather's great and they speak English and everyone's really nice there, and it's like kind of like playing in California. So that's really great. People love South America playing there because they're just bonkers. It's like a soccer game every time you go to a show and stuff. So that's a lot of fun. But as far as like surprises, I remember sometimes it's the most out of the way places that end up being the best places, and I think it's because they don't get a lot of people coming through, so it makes it more exciting for them. Like we played a show in Slovakia, not Czech Republic, but Slovakia, right? It's split in two, I guess, but it's out in the woods, literally, and they're just our backstage was a cabin, and they had tents and stuff, and they just went nuts during the show. It was so cool.
It's because everything's on the internet now, and it passes around so quickly. Before, they would have had to get records out to Slovakia somehow.
Yeah.
But now everybody can hear everybody all around the place. How would you describe the difference of your experience like performing live now and then maybe 20 years ago?
Well, there's more people, so that's good. I mean, I could answer that question in so many ways, right? I mean, I do remember early on, you were always on before someone else, so you're always playing to a crowd that wasn't familiar with your stuff. And that was more daunting, I guess. You felt more like, oh boy, I wonder if they're going to like us and stuff. And now it's kind of nice when we do shows, they generally know a lot of our material and stuff. And so the shows usually go pretty well.
Well, mine was more like a personal question, like as a creative artist when you're playing. How do you experience it any differently? Are you less excited? Is there a different level of satisfaction you're experiencing? Just wondering.
Well, I think the fact that we're still around is very satisfying, because you always kind of, in a band, you expect it to be done any day, where it's just going to stop. But I think live, what I respond to the most is when I see people that know they've memorized the words and they're singing back lyrics that I wrote and stuff. That's very cool.
Yeah.
When did you figure out you knew how to write songs?
Well, I don't know if you ever know how to write songs, right? That's like a kung fu question. But
Right. Yes. You must empty the cup now.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I just knew I wanted to do it. We really didn't get started till we were 18. I know a lot of guys in bands really start young.
Yeah.
We didn't pick up guitars until almost out of high school, so it took a while.
What do you think it is that makes the young voice so powerful and sticky? I mean, like, right now, obviously, you are a better songwriter, performer than you probably have ever been. You've done it so much. You know so many things the 18-year-old you didn't know. But the young artists, like the young Stones, those guys were so powerful. They're way better musicians and everything now. But how do you balance out the inexperienced guy who goes out, plugs in, and just sells 10 million albums versus the guy who's like, I'm better now than I've ever been. How do I expand my voice? And it doesn't have to be like you reflecting about yourself, but in general in the industry, how do you guys do something like that when you've had that much success and you're trying to figure out, like, how does this work? How do we go from here?
I think that's something every musician questions, especially if you've done well over time and stuff. And I've had this discussion with a lot of people. Why do you like the old Stones better than the newer Rolling Stones? And was it really that it was better, or is it just that's the first one you heard, or that's what you got used to? And so anything after that wouldn't be completely fresh and new because you're relating it to what it was like before. You can go crazy with that kind of stuff, but I think that there's definitely an energy when a band first starts, that there's an exuberance about it that sells it, and that feels real. And I think that you're trying to connect emotionally to your audience, and it's got to feel like you mean it. And maybe that's easier when you first start.
Yeah, or you're just even more desperation.
Or you're just so freaked out.
Yeah,
you're just gonna
I gotta tell you something.
Spit it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about the States I've noticed, and we've had a lot of musicians on, all kinds of people, but the States is good at solo act, lead artist, Elvis, Prince, Michael Jackson. Like, we're really great at that. And you guys were one of the last bands to get through the great big band success era. You know, like that. For right now, there's not bands that come out and blow out things like you guys were able to do. You know, Blink 182 kind of came along after you guys, but it was on the downhill side of that. What do bands do now, to especially newer bands that aren't established? Like, you guys have an audience and you can build on your audience and they'll support you guys, but someone who's newer, gosh, I won't even pick a newer band, but just Muse or somebody that's out there trying to grind it out and build this worldwide audience, is that even a thing anymore? Or what do you think about the industry?
Well, Muse is doing just fine.
Yeah,
so.
they are. They're doing fine.
Yeah,
they're all right. But it's definitely tough if you're a band, now. It's much easier to be heard because anyone has access to a recorder and can put something on the internet, but it's much harder to be recognized.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good answer for that.
Right.
You just got to keep on doing what you love doing. We never thought it would take us to where we had gotten to, but we just enjoyed it.
Has your voice changed in songwriting? I mean, I'm really big on U2. I'm super crazy about those guys, and I've always appreciated how Bono's stayed to some roots, like talking about his mom, talking about Ireland and problems there, and teaching all of us about, like, here's where things really suck and we need to put effort into that. But he also changes his voice to talk about other things from other points of view, almost first person autobiographical about another person, and he sings from that. Have you experimented at all with different kinds of voices as you're trying to find the next thing that you want to write about?
Well, for sure, because after you've written some songs, you feel like you're just duplicating what you did before. So you're always trying to find a different angle or whatever. Sometimes singing differently makes it sound different. If I try to sing in a little bit lower register or something like that.
Is there a country album in your guys' future?
Country?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have a buddy who's actually trying to convince me to write country. He's like, you can't sell records in rock and roll anymore, but you can do great if you just write country. He goes, we'll give you a pseudonym.
A hat.
Run under a different name.
Just give him a hat.
You can, 3 days, you'll have a platinum record.
Yeah.
I haven't quite gotten around to that yet.
What does speak to you, though, in terms of where you want to take the music? I know you guys have a new album that you're getting ready to, is it releasing soon, or do we even know yet? Or I know you guys have been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're here today. We're finishing up what I would call song number 4 right now. Mm-hmm. We've been kind of coming in more sporadically. Before, we'd kind of spend a whole year here working on a record, and now, especially because I was kind of busy, so we were kind of splitting it up and stuff. So that's kind of where we're at now, but I think I've got a little more time now to focus on the music,
sure.
And that's what I want to do, is get back to that. So hopefully soon.
He's saying that with a big smile on his face, all you Offspring fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, defending a dissertation is a passion, but it is a lot of work. I mean, I've written a couple of peer-reviewed things, and that's a load of work. And I couldn't imagine like 10 times the amount of work. It blows me away that you can get through something like that.
It was a lot of work, and it was hard to see the end.
Yeah.
You kept on thinking, oh, just another year or so. But it ended up, after I went back, it was almost 6 years, actually.
Yeah.
And I had done quite a bit before that. They call it ABD, all but dissertation.
Sure.
So and that's all I had to do is go back. And God bless USC, they let me come back after over 20 years. And they said, just pick up where you left off. You don't have to take any classes. Just finish your dissertation.
Yeah, that is nice of them because they certainly don't have to do that.
Yeah, it was really
So
great.
even while you had a band, you went to college, you went to USC?
Yeah.
You went to a band, you went to school? And
Yeah. We all kind of met in high school. And then after high school, I went to USC, and our bass player, Greg, went to Long Beach, and Noodles was a janitor. But that's good. It's janitorial arts, custodial arts, we call it, right?
He's in the system.
That's all right. So we were always kind of doing that. We had stuff going on the side, and it was also at that point when you're just starting, you know how ridiculous it sounds to be like, I'm going to make it in this band. So, like you have to have something going on. And so we all had jobs in school or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't until it was literally 10 years later that things started happening for us.
Oh, cool.
What kind of jobs did you have along the way?
I loaded trucks one summer, and in between years at USC and stuff, it was over here in Garden Grove somewhere and stuff. But I'd actually, because they load trucks from 6 to 10, so you'd have to put on an orange jumpsuit. It's like you were going to jail or community service or whatever, and go to the loading docks of Montgomery Ward and load fridges and couches, just like the Dire Straits song.
Yeah, money for nothing, chicks for free. So when did you guys figure out like no more stupid loading truck jobs anymore? 10 years? Was it 10 years or was it before that, you think?
It was 10 years when things took off for us. A couple years before that, we put out a record that started doing stuff. That was Ignition, and we were signed to Epitaph, which was an up-and-coming label at the time, and they really helped get us on the map for sure. It wasn't until Smash came out and Come Out and Play got on the radio almost right away, which was great. It was fantastic, and it just kind of took off all on its own. So once it started going, it got on the radio, and it just clicked, which was amazing. It did well in K-Rock, and then a few weeks later, it was getting played in Phoenix and Vegas, and it really spread like that.
Does being an LA-based, granted you guys are from Orange County, but being an LA kind of location band, does that help? Because K-Rock is one of those stations where once you plug in there and they play it, the surrounding region has to support it.
For sure. Well, K-Rock was, central because it was the biggest station in the country for alternative. And also so many people from K-Rock had gone to MTV that there was a real connection between K-Rock and MTV. I don't think a lot of people know that, but a lot of those guys came from K-Rock. And our label Epitaph was in LA, and I don't think that we could have done what we did unless we had actually lived in the LA area.
What about Green Day? I mean, they come from the Bay. The Bay's rich with music, but and a lot of punk rock music. Heck, 294 Gilman, you guys have played there. Mm-hmm. Because you guys almost simultaneously, like very similar paths, where you guys both almost kind of define your era of the punk genre. Everybody's like, wait, this isn't punk, but sure enough, it is.
Mm-hmm.
How does a band like that doesn't have the LA benefit? How do you think they get out of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we played a lot of the same places, came up through a lot of the same ranks and stuff. We were signed to an indie label that didn't have as much to support the bands, and they were lucky enough to get signed by a big label. They got signed by Warner, and they got a great push right out of the gate, and it worked for them, which was awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now. Do you think that the Offspring can get... 80s is kind of unrepresented anyhow, right? So you guys have 40 million albums. You have a legit greatest hits album
right.
Worth of music. You guys certainly are on par with a lot of bands that are out there.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to be like, yes, we need to be there, but does that seem unrealistic?
I mean, I wouldn't turn it down.
Right.
But,
you wouldn't do the Johnny Lightning and be like, I piss on you. Yeah.
I don't really see that happening for us. I just don't think we've had the same kind of profile that a lot of other bands have. And part of that was by our own design. We actually turned down SNL because we didn't feel like we were ready for it. They asked us really early on. We were barely playing clubs. We'd been playing mostly backyard parties and stuff, and we thought that it was going to be terrible. So it was maybe more out of fear than modesty, but we just haven't pursued a lot of those things. So I don't know if we're that kind of band.
I think you are.
Okay, good. You start the petition.
I will. Same thing with the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Billy Joe's not in it. You're not in it. And there is someone that has a similar name as you, and he's written world-class songs, but you've written songs that have made the entire world pay attention. And if you're going to have a Songwriters Hall of Fame, I'm going to say it right now here on the Break It Down show, Dexter Holland should be in it.
Hey, everybody, this is John.
And this is Pete.
You know what we do?
What do we do?
We tell stories.
We sure do.
And you should tell your story. You should tell the story of your company, your organization,
Your life.
and what makes you special at what you do.
Write that book by talking it out.
That's right. Talk it out in podcast form.
Yes. And how would you do that if you didn't know what to do?
You would call John and Pete.
What? Yes.
You
yes,
would call
should.
John and Pete. Where do they call us?
Well, you can go to breakitdownshow.com for one.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can enter a comment, or you could go to Twitter.
At JohnLG69.
And I'm at Pete A. Turner on Twitter. Say, hey, help me tell stories. Tell me where to go. Go to the website. See where we have our classes on how to do podcasting. It's all there. It's all available. It's all right now.
Break it down.
I'm going to say it right now here on the Break It Down show. Dexter Holland should be in it.
Well, thank you. That's very flattering. I appreciate that. It always makes me feel a little, I don't know, it's a little strange to think, oh, your song is so, everyone knows it, and it's great.
Yeah.
That wasn't really where it came from. It came from in here. It was kind of like going, this seems funny to me, or something I really get or relate to, and I think other people are going to relate to it. Like Pretty Fly, for example, I guess, is something like, it makes me laugh when I think of that, Pretty Fly for a White Guy, and I think people around, really, it was just in this area in Huntington, Orange County, I think people here will totally get what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it had already spread around the country and even around the world. I went to Europe, and people in broken English were saying, I know that guy,
Yeah. Do you think Bono copied you with the Spanish counting and not being sequential?
I did notice that, but no, I don't think so. I don't think we're on their radar.
Oh, come on. They know you guys are. In terms of, do you have a question mark?
Hot sauce.
Oh, hot sauce? Okay, yeah, we could change gears. Let's get into xanthan gum and vinegar and other ingredients. You have a hot sauce that you've built. What inspired the hot sauce?
Right. Yeah, people ask me that a lot, and they figure that there's got to be some great reason why, like, well, you started the band, you did this and all that stuff. Why hot sauce? And I just thought it was cool. There was really no great grand design behind it or whatever. I knew I liked hot sauce. When you're a kid and you wake up in the morning and you eat your breakfast cereal, you kind of look at the box and you read what's on the back, right? You remember in the puzzles and stuff. And so when you're eating tacos, you grow up, you're kind of looking at the bottle. You're looking at the ingredients, what's in this. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, God, I should make one of these. It'd just be kind of funny. So I worked on it for a while, actually getting the recipe right, and people seemed to really like it more than I thought they would. So I kind of went with it.
Is there a secret recipe?
Secret recipe, that's right.
Yeah.
You got to keep it secret.
I thought maybe like your auntie had left you like a xanthan gum plant or something. You're like, what am I going to do with all this thickener?
But they all have like red peppers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Chili peppers.
Right.
Green peppers. Like that. I saw a documentary how they're making sriracha.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's great. Well, you mentioned xanthan gum. I don't think people even know what xanthan gum is, right? It's a natural thickener.
Right.
And it just keeps it from separating, right?
Right, yeah.
That's
Is
the
it
idea.
a de-emulsifier? Is that what you would call it?
Is that what you call it?
I don't know.
But it's technically natural. So you can be
Right.
in the natural food section. That becomes a whole thing. It's like, well, is this product natural and is it organic? And that would qualify as natural but not organic. So it's a whole new world out there.
Yeah.
When you're working on your recipes, you go through each iteration. Do you do it like a science, like you would do your science work? Like where you write it down, like this time it's going to be a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin or whatever? Or?
You keep notes, but it was kind of like, I'd like it to be a little more red. I'd like it to be a little thicker or a little less thick or whatever, and just kind of tweak it.
Did you do it at home, or do you have a little laboratory? Did you do it here in the kitchen?
I did it at home. So I had a nanny, and she was a fantastic nanny, but my daughter grew up and went away to college, and so I had this great lady who I didn't have a good job for. And I said, you know what? We should try to make hot sauce, because she's a fantastic cook, and she's originally from Mexico. And so we started kind of collaborating on it.
Oh, what a great idea.
We went back and forth about 8 times until we kind of got it right. But it was kind of like that whole thing about, it's a little of this, a little of this. Can you make it a little darker, a little hotter?
Are there any hot sauces in Mexico that don't come up here, that we don't see? Was there anything that she suggested that you hadn't heard of?
No. She wasn't really into hot sauce because they would make all their own stuff, and they call it
right.
salsa. Like she doesn't. She says she calls hot sauce salsa, and she calls salsa salsa. It's like it's kind of almost the idea was even a little bit foreign, I think. A little bit, but there's tons of foreign hot sauces that are really good, and they're usually imported up here, and I'm sure you've probably seen a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. But no, we didn't really use another hot sauce as a reference or anything. It was just natural that we would gravitate towards a Mexican-style hot sauce, which I would say is less vinegar, less Tabasco-y, I guess.
Yeah. My first experience with hot sauce was, I think it was where I was in the Army and it was raining and they gave us eggs and it's all runny and everybody is fighting over the Tabasco sauce because it's the only thing
that makes it
You
edible.
put it on those runny eggs and it was like, oh, okay, I can eat this now.
Yeah, I've heard that from military guys before.
It saved the day sometimes.
Yeah, you get an MRE, and if you don't need it because your particular meal is a decent one, and like decent, I mean like, and really honestly, they're not that bad. It's just every day the same thing over and over again. That's when it really gets bad. But I always had a Tabasco somewhere in my pocket because I might do someone a favor of giving it to them, or I might need it myself and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to supply the little tiny Gringo Banditos and the MREs,
Yeah.
If you know of anyone.
You
Yeah.
got to
They
get the
can hook
Gringo
that up.
Banditos.
Yeah, that would be. I'm telling
gotta
you
hook
right
it
now,
up with Department of
service
Defense.
members would love that. You guys have to get on the GSA schedule so that you're part of that thing because it would. It's the kind of thing that we love. We love punk rock. We love rock and roll. We love music. We love hot sauce. And then I keep telling everybody, tell your story. You're telling your story now. I would much rather buy Dexter's hot sauce than whoever Mr. Tabasco is. And it's no offense to Mr. Tabasco.
Actually, Tabasco, it's just an interesting story. I met an old journalist who went to this island. He's passed away, but he went to the island to find out where they make Tabasco sauce.
Yeah.
And it's an island in the Mississippi owned by this one family with this one recipe where they made it in this kind of old factory. And that was the only place it came from.
Huh.
But I don't know if they still make it there. But it came from this one old family who lived on an island in the Mississippi.
Well, ultimately, I mean, I'm talking to you. You're the guy I want to support. That's the thing.
I'm a fan of hot sauce. I like Tabasco. I think
Sure.
Tabasco's good on stuff, and
They're all
I
good.
like Tapatio and all that stuff.
Texas
but,
Pete's, they're all great in their own thing. I had some of your hot sauce this morning, my eggs too, by the way. I try to always
nice.
support the brand. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so you make your recipe, and you guys are like, this one's pretty good, but now you got to peer review it.
I guess basically, right?
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny to have a hot sauce that I made my own little label. I just drew it out on a desk, and I know artists because of the band and stuff, and so we had them draw it up in a real basic way. And I like photocopied maybe 20 of them and sent them out as Christmas presents to my friends. And they were coming back saying, "This is really good." And I would say thanks. They go, "No, seriously, you got to put this out. This stuff is really good." So I kind of started going with it, and the response has just been so positive.
Yeah.
It's actually different from a band. I think, when you put out music, people are so critical, but with hot sauce, it's a whole different story. It's much lighter. They're like, "Oh yeah, I love it. It's great."
It's hot sauce.
It's hot sauce. Hot sauce makes people happy. That's
it
what
does.
that's what I
Yeah.
discovered. That's why, I don't want to put out something like yogurt or something. I want to put out hot sauce.
Yet.
It makes people happy.
Yeah, you eat hot sauce. Wow, what was that?
Yeah.
That's nice. So how's it selling in China?
Nothing in China yet. Well, I don't sell it in China. They probably do, but
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Bootleg. We've actually done well in the U.S. I don't have it in a lot of restaurants. That's where I'm still a little bit short. I haven't figured that out yet. But we have people randomly that want to order it in different countries. So we're in 7 different countries throughout Europe and Australia, Canada.
We have a pretty big following in Canada and Australia, so I'm going to tell all of our people in Canada and Australia, get out there and get on the internet and order some Gringo Bandito hot sauce because I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I love it.
Thank you very much. And definitely on the internet you can get it, and it's on Amazon. It's super easy to get.
Yeah, that's the best thing. So your friends come back peer review style and they love it. Actually, I should say this as an aside. John, my other co-host, his uncle makes Chaco's sauce. If you've ever had that or heard of that before, his story is similar. He's like, I just make this sauce in my kitchen, and Jack Tatum had his sauce one time at an event, and he's like, this is $1 million sauce. You need to put some money into it. Matter of fact, I'm going to put some of my money into it. And so that was sort of the thing, the impetus that got him to get up and over the top, where now Chaco's sauce is in all kinds of stores and it sells well. So maybe there's still another person that comes in and it's like, oh my God, I don't care what we do, I'm your spokesperson. It's Brad Pitt or something. They're like, I love Gringo Bandito sauce.
Yeah, maybe. I'm ready for that.
Ready. Do you buy futures in
Mr.
Xanthan
T.
gum?
I want Mr. T to come out and say he's my hot sauce guy.
Yes.
Gringo Bandito. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you buy futures in xanthan gum?
Right, I know. We go through a lot. It's tricky stuff. If you put in too much, it clumps up. If you put in too little, it's an art.
I wanted to. So it seems like you like to collaborate. I mean, you're in a band. You know, you make hot sauce with your ex nanny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you talked about this doctor that you worked for. I mean, what have your experiences been collaborating as opposed to kind of working on your own?
Well, I don't know. The things that I love to do the most, I started myself, but there's only so far you can get by yourself a lot of times, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but it can be fun when you're working with someone, and then you don't feel all the pressure and the responsibility of getting it done, and it's kind of something you experience together.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's never been the solo album.
I think bands are cool. Personally, and some guys pull off being solo great, but I think there's something about that being in a band, and that's why I've never wanted to go off and do that. Yet. We'll see.
I love it. I love to
That pissed me
Yeah.
off. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Is there someone out there that you think, gosh, I would love to? So, my example, I always go back to U2, by the way. So, this is my example. So, Michael Stipe hears Beautiful Day from U2, and he's like, damn it, I should have wrote that song. That's just my song. They just got there first. Are there songs like that for you? We hear it, and you're just like, man, that is so good. Right in my alley. I wish I would have written that song. Are there songs like that?
Well, I mean, you could say that about a lot of U2 songs. I think.
Sure, well, yeah.
U2's a fantastic band.
Yeah.
They're really great. And I do like a lot of the classic bands. I'm a big fan of John Fogerty. People probably wouldn't think, but love Creedence.
Yeah, for sure. Creedence is awesome.
Why is it some people don't like U2? And this is like millennials have this push against U2. Have you heard this?
Yes.
I can't stand U2. I don't want to hear them. I don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't get it. I mean, I've heard it.
Have you heard it?
Yeah. Like all this pushback about giving away their album to everybody and everything. It also sold got them more exposure than pretty much any other album they've ever done. Tons and tons and tons of albums. Actually, it was a great
Why does
thing.
every interview turn into us talking about U2?
Yes.
It's like,
is this?
hey, it's
Yeah,
great
what's
having
going
you,
here?
Dex. But like U2.
You too.
Yeah. I do love you too. Yeah, let's not make it about you too. Let's make it about other things. So you, John Fogerty. What about other guys from your genre that you stand out? I know you guys are inspired by TSOL. It's kind of funny, but Elvis Costello and the Attractions. I was looking through, doing some pre-show research. They're in that sort of post-punk genre where they're like, we're not really sure what to do with you guys, and who knows what to do with Elvis because he does whatever the fuck he wants to do, including a country album.
Right.
These other bands, who else out there that you're like, yeah, those are my bros. Those are people that do what we do. And fuck, anytime they're at a gig with us, I love the fuck out of those guys. Who are those kind of bands?
For sure. I mean, Pennywise comes to mind for sure. You know, we've played tons with them over the years, and we get along with those guys really great. And the Epitaph bands, of course, NoFX and Rancid and stuff like that. It's great. It's the older bands that really inspired us when we first started. That, like you said, TSOL, and of course the Adolescents, Social Distortion stuff, and
Social Distortion,
they're great, and Bad Religion and stuff. So all those bands, it's always cool when we see them, get to play with them.
Do you guys get into funk at all, or anything else that's way outside? I mean, I can't think of which song it is right now, but you guys used at least a steel drum synthesizer.
And Get a Job.
Get a Job, yeah, exactly right, yeah.
That's
What makes that kind of decision come out? Because that's definitely an atypical instrument for you guys. What's the thought process there? Any of those things when you guys... I love songs where there's no lyrics, like the breakup song from Greg Kihn, when you guys start out with la, la, la. Those aren't lyrics. That's just, not quite scatting. What inspires those kind of decisions where you're like, fuck it, this is what we're going to do. No words. This is just... these sounds come out.
Right, yeah. Sometimes you just want something different right off the top. It just kind of gets your attention. So it could be that, or I used the Def Leppard sample once. Get a Job, I wanted something in the chorus, and I thought it would be good to follow along with the vocal. It's the same notes as the singing and stuff, and we were working with Dave Jordan, and he had used steel drums on some Jane's Addiction stuff. And he's like, you should try a steel drum. I'm like, well, that's a great idea, and it worked out really good.
Def Leppard also not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and neither is Bon Jovi, if you can believe that. John Bon Jovi, I don't think he's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame either. So there's some groups out there that need to get in.
I remain silent.
When it comes to other things that you're going to want to do, you're pretty far afield. You got a PhD in science that people I can't even explain it right. You're like, you're kind of right. So you're doing that. You write world class, world loving songs. It's hot sauce right now. There has to be something else out there. Like obviously, you're not just going to sit down and chill out in an egg chair and meditate.
I got a guess. I got to have a guess.
All right, what's that?
You're going to develop artificial intelligence software that writes songs.
All right, there you go, man. That
That's
would make
your
my
next
job
job.
easier. Man, it's hard. It's hard
So the
sometimes.
Offspring can go on forever. The random Offspring song generator.
That's right. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, or any song. Yeah.
I just got done with this last thing, so I don't know yet. I want to kind of chill out for a few months and figure out what happens next. But right now I'm stoked that we have time to go back in the studio and do some more music and stuff.
And you're going to do a little bit of a summer tour too. You guys are going to be out doing some things.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have most of the year booked. Well, through September anyway. We're doing the U.S.
Right.
with Sublime, doing Canada with Sublime, Europe on our own festivals and stuff, and we've already gone to Japan this year and the world and elsewhere, as they say in Spinal Tap, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys like Spinal Tap?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm still
All right.
laughing.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love Spinal Tap.
11. Goes to 11.
Is there a better line in a movie anywhere than that whole dialogue with he's like, but mine goes to 11.
But mine goes to 11.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you guys have a Spinal Tap moment where you're trying to break out of the pod or whatever, anything like that at all?
We've been lost backstage.
Yeah.
It's actually happened. Yeah, it happens. That's why we got obsessed with it on the bus. I mean, this is years ago now, but we watched it over and over again because it's true. The stuff that happens there really, really happens. All the things that get messed up, where it says, puppet show, then the Offspring or whatever, like that kind of stuff's happened for sure.
Puppet show, and then the Offspring. Yeah, when you go out on the road with a group like Sublime or any of these other groups, how do you guys determine? Do you guys like rotate headline nights? Is there something? I mean, because Sublime's a huge group too, and you guys are there. I mean, do you even want to talk about it? We don't have to even talk about it, but
I mean, usually we kind of just decide how we want it to go. A lot of times with a band like Sublime, we're going out as co-headliner.
right, okay,
But someone has to go on last, and I don't mind going on second to last. I think it's a great vibe at that time. People are still with you and stuff. So if another band wants to go on last, I'm usually like, go for it. That's cool.
I know I've talked to other musicians where they're maybe they're coming up and the other band is kind of established and they start cutting heads a little bit too much, in that set before the headline band comes out or even the co-headliner. Are you cognizant of like, I don't want to go too hard because I don't want to show up Sublime, and it doesn't have to be Sublime. Let's take them out of it. But are you aware of something like that where you're like, yeah, we're peers and I'm going to give my all, but there's a line where it's too much.
Right. Now, I really like Sublime a lot. I've always been into them and I respect them and we're friends and stuff. So it wouldn't be a matter of trying to show them up. But
right.
No, I mean, when I go out there, it's for keeps. I'm not holding anything back.
You guys put on a great show. I mean, for sure, I saw you guys at the Taco Fest, and that was a great time. Plus, also you had Kobayashi there.
I know, wasn't that fun?
Man, he ate like 159 tacos in 10 minutes, street tacos. And
yeah.
I figured out, I did the math because I'm really smart. And I'm like, if we ate 5 tacos a day, it'd be like over a month before we ate that many tacos.
I met him in Japan, believe it or not. We actually just called him up. They were in Japan. I go, you know what? I think that guy Kobayashi is pretty rad. We should see, can someone call him and see if he wants to come to the show?
Yeah.
And we tried with Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, several years before that. God bless him, rest his soul. But he was somewhere else. But he sounded interested. That's what I heard. But Kobayashi came to the show. I said, hey, check out my hot sauce. And he looked at it and goes, I think I could drink 10 of these, like right off the bat. And he guzzled a bottle backstage.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is our guy. Man, I got to get this guy on board.
So is he an official spokesperson for Gringo Bandito?
It's not so much like that. He done the whole hot dog thing forever, and he had sort of a falling out with the society, the hot dog eating society or whatever. And I thought, man,
which you wouldn't even think is possible, but it happened.
I know. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
They have
over
the
hot
rules.
dogs.
They have the rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, come out here to the West Coast. Let's do the same thing with tacos. And they're into it. So he's been doing it every year for like 5 years or 7 years, something like that.
Have you ever tried to see how many tacos you can eat in 10 minutes?
I never have.
Right.
No.
You always have to work afterwards.
So does he eat the tacos at your show? Is he like on stage where you're like a little bass line going on while he's eating them all?
Is who eating tacos?
It's
Kobayashi. And then it's like, yeah, you guys got a big
He's like at the show.
Yeah. You know what's incredible is that
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
One after the other is going down.
I was talking to a couple of my buddies. I said, "What'd you do after the show?" They go, "Oh, we hung out with Kobayashi." I go, "Oh, what'd you guys do?" He goes, "We went out to dinner." I'm like, "Kobayashi went out to dinner after
Yeah.
the show?" I was like, "Oh yeah, doesn't faze him."
That's incredible.
I don't know how that even works.
Yeah.
The stomach stretches.
Yeah.
The stretches.
Right. They were saying like adipose tissue and stuff like inhibits the stretching, so you can't be fat. You have to just be lean.
Oh, interesting.
Because it binds, like your stomach's like, I got no more room.
Yeah,
So
because the
that's-
adipose will just split, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're trying to
The
eat.
adipose. We all sound like scientists.
Yeah, good for
The
you.
adipose
That's
tissue would
great.
just split,
Yeah.
rupture. We'd have abdominal rupture.
I could do it like Mike Tyson said, like the adipose tissue, and say the wrong word. All right, so I want to real quick hit up. I'm at Pete A. Turner on social media. You are Yes Mark Valley, is that right?
Yes, Mark Valley on Twitter.
And then Gringo Bandito is at Gringo B Hot Sauce,
That's right.
and then the band is at Offspring. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes. That
When's your next show?
We are playing on Saturday in Columbus, Ohio. There's actually a giant rock festival called Rock on the Range.
Rock on the Range in
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really great. We're doing a lot of kind of weekend festivals right now. So that's next weekend, and then we're doing a couple shows in Texas and Oklahoma the next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple things in Canada next month before we head off to Europe.
Oh, cool. Where are you going to Europe? Portugal?
You know, whenever someone asks that, I say pretty much everywhere. Like, it's you know, it's small compared to
Yeah.
the United States, where each state's a different country. We probably average 11 countries per tour. So we're actually not hitting the UK this time, but it's Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Holland, most of the Western U.S. We're doing Slovenia this time. That's one of the
nice.
more out of the way places that we don't get to too often. So that
beautiful though. It's beautiful.
Give you a
there.
cabin. They'll give you a cabin for a green room.
That's right. I want that cabin.
Yeah, that's Alp country out there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Have you been to Slovenia before, or is this the first time ever?
No, I think we played there once before.
Pussy Riot playing with you guys. Are they leading off?
I know. I think they're great. It's amazing what they did. That's scary. That's real shit out
That's
there.
punk
You know,
rock,
like
right?
yeah.
That's punk with consequences, right?
It's not like doing that kind of stuff in the U.S. You do it in Russia, it's gnarly.
We are super fortunate to be able to do what we do here because there are a lot of places where you cannot do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And, yeah. That's ballsy. That's as thumbing it to the man as you can get. Right. there. European tour. Which countries for you stand out? Like, man, I love to go to this place because they have, like, in the former Yugoslavia, they have like Borix and all kinds of delicious things. Is there any place where you're like, I can't wait to get back here because like German beer. You can't get beer like German beer unless you're there. Are there
Right.
things like that you can't wait for?
Well, that's kind of the thing is that you kind of like countries for different things. Germany has great beer, of course, and Italy's just so much fun, the whole vibe and stuff.
Yeah.
And France has great crowds, and Spain's a little more wild than other countries, so they're all kind of good in their own way.
Yeah, no doubt. You ever play Liechtenstein?
I have no. I went there once, passed through. Never
Yeah, you
played
always
there,
pass through, right? Because you can
Yeah.
literally walk across it. Yeah, you got to get like a royal box kind of gig where they come out and they do it like old, like 1700 style, and they give each of you guys a gold watch and some ducats or something, and walk out the door.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
All right, Liechtenstein, let's get on it. Let's book the Offspring. So after this tour, when does the tour end?
I mean, we have stuff going on pretty much through September.
Okay.
And after that, I'm not sure. We'll probably do some stuff in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't tour year round. It's you need breaks once in a while.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
This
Yeah.
is the season. We're gearing up right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you guys, like Henry Rollins and his guys back when he used to tour, he'd get those guys in shape. They'd be out in the heat, working hard. Do you guys take that kind of approach, or you guys kind of have your rhythm and you know what to do? What's it like getting ready for the rigors of the road as opposed to just the music part?
Oh, drink a lot of beer.
Yeah. Eat a lot of tacos.
Yeah. No, I mean, we don't do yoga or anything.
We
just
bring our
kinda-
hot sauce with
Yeah,
us.
bring a lot of hot sauce.
Special energy hot
Yeah.
sauce.
That's right.
You need to get like a hot sauce can for the road, like one to cool the crowd down, like through the mister, and then you do like the whoop and shoot out like plastic bottles of Gringo Bandito into the crowd.
Plastic, of course.
Yeah,
Keep it
plastic. Yeah, plastic with parachute maybe or something. Yeah, cool. We really appreciate you being on the show, Dexter. man.
Oh,
It's
sure
been awesome.
thing. And I'm impressed Also, by the way, I want to just let the listeners know that you guys showed up, and it makes sense now that I find out you guys are ex-militaries, that you showed up with this table, you unfolded it, bam, 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 put the stands on the table. It was like a freaking MASH unit going up in this room here. I'm surprised there's not catering underneath here, but it's impressive. This is like the real deal. You guys could do this anywhere. You could go to Slovenia with us and do this.
Okay.
And we'll be gone in 5. We were never here. Yeah.
You'll never know.